There is one clip on YouTube that I believe is responsible for destroying the learning experience, the desire to learn the Thai language more than any clip on the internet. About 6 years ago, a clip came out by this YouTuber. His YouTube name is Xidnaf. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. If it's IPA, I guess Xidnaf. If it's according to Pinyin, I guess Xidnaf. But this clip is seriously Xidnaf. It says that Thai is the most complicated writing system in the world and goes into all of these baseless claims about the Thai language and the Thai script. And I thought I'd put this clip together. I've never done one of these commentary clips together, but I've seen some comments come up over the years and excuses that are pulled from this that people throw in to justify Thai being so difficult, so I'm going to give up, or I'm not even going to start learning. And I want this clip to go together because I believe that Thai and the Thai writing system is one of the most beautiful, symmetrical, logical systems and sound systems, writing systems that fits the language like a glove, that once you learn it, it makes the language so much easier. And that's actually what my whole Cracking Thai Fundamentals system was from the start back in 2000. Clips like this don't do anything to help anybody's learning. And hopefully by the end of this clip, at least the fact that this guy put the clip out on the internet and getting responses from people like me and hopefully other people who know their Xidnaf will be able to debunk it, and then this can be used as a tool to inspire people to learn, rather than what it's done so far is just destroy people's will to learn and some people's possibly will to live. Let's start.
Hello and welcome to the last of my three-part series on writing systems. In the first one I covered writing systems in general, and then in the second one I covered what I consider one of the most beautiful, simple, elegantly designed writing systems in the world, Korean. Now let's look at what I consider to be the exact polar opposite of the Korean writing system, the Thai writing system.
And they're off, and what a shite start. Okay, so he said that he's just introduced Korean in his last clip. And Korean is an amazing script, it's wonderful, and I put a clip out, when was this, 2013, so 7 years ago, on the link between the Hangul Korean script and Sanskrit, which is the same base to what the Thai alphabet, the Thai writing system is based on. And so it goes into the Pakspa script, which came via Tibet. Now, when my clip first came out about the Hangul script and its links to the Indic languages, if you have a look through the comments there on YouTube, people went crazy. Many Koreans loved it, and some Koreans came out and attacked me and said it was a load of bullshit and it's all wrong, and that it's unique to Korea. Well, since then, a movie has been released, and it's an amazing movie called The King's Letters.
소리와 문자를 분류하고 집대성한 원리가 8만 대장경 안에 새겨져 있습니다.
그 원리 너도 하느냐? 가.
Now I just want to pause it there. Look at that. That is the Pakspa script, and so they're talking about developing a script based on the shape, or the shape of the mouth, the actions of the mouth, and the letters based on that. So that's from the Pakspa script. So it feels wonderful being vindicated, at least through that film. And in fact, for anybody who's familiar with Cracking Thai Fundamentals, you can have a look at these that look eerily similar to Korean. I actually developed my own glyphs that are based on the point of articulation in the mouth, which of course follow in after, if you can read the Hangul script, Korean, you'll notice many of these are quite familiar. And I use them actually in teaching Thai articulation. And so this is actually in the my CTF book, Cracking Thai Fundamentals, where I use these we can actually learn all the tone rules and everything based on these points of articulation in the mouth. So this is actually the graph, the 5x5 map of the human mouth, which you would know if you learned Hangul, but is also the exact system that the Thai script is based on, and all the tone rules are based on, through this wonderful, simple, symmetrical, easy to learn grid.
Admittedly, I have a little bit of a bias on this one. There's a decent number of writing systems I don't know anything about, and I happen to know a little bit more about Thai because I had a Thai friend once who taught me a little bit. But I've studied a little bit of a lot of different writing systems, and I think I can say with some confidence that if Thai isn't the most complicated writing system in the world, it's at least really high up there.
Thank you for your scholarly and fact-based deductions, Xidnaf. I'll be sure to use this clip in the future with my daughter when I'm teaching her about critical thinking.
Now, I'm not saying it's the hardest to learn. That award would probably go to Chinese or any other logography where you have to learn a different symbol for every single word. But the rules for how the Chinese writing system works are actually incredibly straightforward. One symbol per word, one word per symbol. That's it. And after that, you can just start memorizing.
What absolute rubbish. Chinese is not one character, one word. Actually, if you speak modern Chinese, you know that most words are actually bisyllabic. So you will have 2 words to make one word. And what is a word anyway? Actually, Chinese is way more complex than what you've just made it out to be. And anyone who's learned that, or Japanese, going into the script and seeing actually how semantic units match up with actual syllabic units and character units, it's not what you've just alluded it to be. But that's for another clip.
But with Thai, there's all kinds of crazy rules you have.
Okay, let me quickly just stop it there because this gets to another crux of what I've been trying to get out of you, especially with Thai. When foreigners learn Thai, a lot of them might learn the alphabet in this fashion, where you see it's basically a linear order of the alphabet, and then they're told to go and memorize these letters. To me, that is just insane. It's like giving somebody this picture and say, learn the features of my face. As you can see, this picture was taken many years ago. But yeah, you can kind of make out that it's a face of somebody. There's hairs, there's eyes, there's teeth, there's a nose. But, you know, it's I guess it's a face, but you can't see exactly what it looks like. That's a good analogy for learning the alphabet like this, and you can see in the image that he actually used, it's a similar linear pattern. Actually, when you learn the Thai alphabet, it's in this beautiful structure, and you can see these letters that they're in these columns. So this first column is with the throat closed, this is with a puff of air, this is with originally the voice activated, a voice activated and puff of air, that got lost, and so you're left with similar sounds, and then through the nose. Isn't that a beautiful grid? And you can even see, let me zoom in here. If we have a look here, look at some of these, turn that off. Look at these letters too. So the letters that, when they're saying there's all multiple letters for whatever, they're actually cousins. So to show that they came from the original position, we're just going to put a little dent here to show that this do and tha, same voice position, they're cousins, but they've got a slightly different sound because we have an extra sound in Thai. Same with these ones, ba, ba, pa, fa. So they're all related, but there's just this beautiful logic, symmetry to the system. Yeah, if you're going to learn the Thai alphabet like this, you would probably be baffled. But come on, don't put a video out there on the internet, something that people are going to turn to wanting to learn the language, and just totally throw a bomb in their learning experience and explode any hope they have of learning. This is not how you learn Thai. You learn the system. And once you've learned the system, it's beautiful, simple, easy. All the tone rules are built into that. No need to get confused, but you'll notice that what he does as he goes on, he uses this imagery to try and reinforce this confusing aspect of Thai. And I've seen it do so much damage over the years because people have listened to this and then justified them stopping learning or not even starting in the first place, and that sucks.
Have to learn about the way all the different symbols interact with each other before you can even start memorizing anything. It's so crazy, in fact, that it wound up taking me a lot longer to do the research for this video than I thought it would, and that's why this video is so late.
Oh, I'm sorry. So because it took you so long to do it, that makes it super difficult. That is hubris.
Sorry about that, by the way. Anyway, I have found 4 main reasons that the Thai writing system has wound up the way it is. Number 1, Thai is an Abugida. It looks a lot like an alphabet. There are symbols for consonants.
Notice how he's used imagery again to try and reinforce his confusing premise of this whole video, and this actual image means absolutely nothing.
And symbols for vowels, and for the most part you just write them left to right. But Thai is actually an Abugida, which you might remember is any writing system where you start by writing the symbols for the consonants, and then you modify the symbols for the consonants in some way that indicates the vowel that comes after it. In Thai, though, you don't modify the symbol exactly, you just add the symbol for the vowel, but depending on which vowel symbol it is, you might add the vowel in front of it, or behind it, or above it, or below it. So if you try to treat Thai like an alphabet, you'll wind up hopping all over the place.
Okay, this is where I have to jump in. I can't hold it anymore. Abugidas. So he mentioned that word. Wonderful. Thank you for mentioning the word. Thai is not an alphabet. It is an abugida. That means that vowels and consonants are different species. Vowels breathe life into consonants. Now, if you're coming from an alphabet background, so all the Romance languages, European, Germanic languages, you're used to writing in letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so you've got vowels and consonants all mixed into the letters. But in Thai, we, just like Hindi, Devanagari, Sanskrit, all of these scripts throughout India, Tibetan, Burmese, Khmer, Old Javanese, Balinese, we use this Abugida based on this beautiful map of the human mouth, where you have symbols that represent points of the mouth. So, go from the back, the palate, the teeth, the roof of the mouth, lips. And then you've got different actions. But let's just say we've got the letter K. K is a position with an action. And then we have a vowel here. Now, I'm going to just tell you now that this vowel, let me just hide this. Unhide. Okay, so that is a frame. Okay. Don't think of that as two separate letters or two separate vowels or whatever. Think of it as a frame. And so if I have a look in 3D here, that is one little frame. That means, and in Thai, it's ao. Some languages, you might be familiar with this kind of shape. It's o. But in Thai, this is ao, the ao frame. So now if I put the sound there, this is kao. Now the way Abugidas work, if you look at linearly, like in English, you're going to be confused. Why is something's behind it? But have a look at this. Let's look in 3D. Look at that. So, easy thing for speaking Thai in any language with an Abugida based on this index script. Think of it as you have the consonant first, and then you have this frame of a vowel. So this is the ao frame. So consonant sound. So let me use this square plane. So if this square plane is going along in time, and let me just rotate some things around here. So you can see here, it's going to activate this g first, and then it's going to hit the ao. And so we come across here, ao. So it goes ao, ao. If you think of Thai and anything in an Abugida in these syllable blocks, ao, gao. So this is gao. And notice that even though it's a K, you might be thinking king in English. K represents this, the throat closed, unaspirated K. If it was aspirated, it would be k. But it's not a G. G would be g, g with a voice, and there's no such sound as G in Thai. This is not gao, it's ao, ao, gao. Okay? And easy. Voice activates the consonant first, and then the vowel, and you get g, and then ao. Let's come across the ao, gao. So yeah, if you're not coming from an Abugida background and you're just thinking in, say, Roman alphabet, you will be a bit confused because you're looking just in this one or two-dimensional linear thing. But now we're looking in 3 dimensions. And so let me just quickly swap out that letter. Let's swap it to a Thai letter. So the equivalent letter in Thai would be, let me, with my Thai keyboard, yes. So this would be Gok Kai. Okay, so that's the same letter. So it's ao, gao. Now let's have a look here. What would happen if I swap the vowel, this ao vowel, for an e vowel sound? No sweat. Or turn to my Thai keyboard. E. Okay, so this is e. Now you're thinking, oh, but that's on top. No, doesn't matter. It's in the same frame position. So what happens? What gets hit first? This letter. So and then ik, iki. So Abugidas 101, consonants and vowels are different species. Vowels breathe life into consonants, and you just pronounce the consonant first and think of the vowel as sitting on this frame set forward. And so then when the voice activates the frame, whatever vowel frame or vowel shape is sitting on that frame will get activated at once. I, ki. And this one is an ah. So if I put in, well, I need to turn back into that. So that's an ah vowel. Let me just shift it over a little bit here. And so that would be ah, ga. Okay? Ah, ga. Got it? That's how vowels work. That's how the whole system works in Thai. You got it. You got it in how many minutes? No need to be confused. Abugidas are a wonderful thing, and it makes learning and actually pronouncing syllable blocks so much easier, because the way you read it is the way that it's pronounced.
It's much easier to think of it as divided up into syllable blocks, with each syllable containing the initial consonant in the middle, and then the vowel symbol is somewhere around it. Number 2. Thai is a tonal language, and unlike Chinese, which just kind of gave up on the idea of writing down tones.
What a load of rot. And again, it's really hubris. In China there have been systems. The latest we have is Hanyu Pinyin, and there was a stage there through communism. There was thought of bringing that in to take over Chinese characters, but the Chinese people didn't want it. The Chinese writing system makes sense to Chinese. If you have a look at Vietnam or any of these systems, it's actually Westerners that come in. Maybe it's their own inadequacies, thinking they're going to save the world because their system's superior, and so they bring in some kind of Romanization system, but it's not needed. And you look at a 2-year-old Chinese kid, hasn't got a problem in the world learning how to read and write Chinese, or as they grow up. It's normal, it makes sense. Maybe not to you because you're not Chinese, but that's just silly saying that, oh, they gave up on the idea.
The Thai writing system tries to incorporate the tones into the writing. It actually does this in a relatively straightforward manner. It just has a symbol for each tone, and you write the tone by writing the tone symbol above the syllable that has that tone. Not that hard.
You silly man. What are you doing? This isn't even a tone marker. It's just like you're grabbing at straws about something that you know obviously zero about, and you're putting it there. But the worst thing is that you're saying it in such a smart-ass, matter-of-fact way. People could actually believe you. For anyone learning Thai, this is not a tone marker. This is a vowel shortener. Turns the long e and a vowels into e and a if there is a final consonant. So the word ben would become ben. The word det would become det.
Not that hard, but it does add another important layer of complexity that is going to come up again later. Number 3. Duplicate letters. For this part, you'll need to understand the historical situation that Thailand was in when the writing system was invented. Tradition states that the Thai alphabet was invented by King Pho Hun Ram Khan. Never mind, I have no idea how to pronounce this.
I'm sorry, what freaking arrogance. First of all, that is a huge disrespect to all Thai people to say that, and just to make light of his name and make it all fun. Paul Kun Lam Kam Hang has a very special place in all Thais' hearts, and for you to just go and make fun of him just like that is not great. It's not going to put you in good stead with any Thai, despite no matter what their political leaning is. And the other thing is that you say, I know something about the Thai language because my friend taught me, and you don't even know the very fundamentals of how English renders Thai. So you see the island got Phuket, Phuket. You don't call it Phuket or Phuket or whatever. Some Aussies might. It's Phuket. And just here, so if you've got PHO, just even knowing the very fundamentals, you would know that it's not for, it's pa, or in this case, pa, meaning father, pa kun lam kam hang. And so every father kun, respected one, lam kam hang. So this is a term of high respect given towards His Majesty, who brought this system in, and the system is used up until today, and you go and make fun of it like that. I just know what to say. But it's a very good example and a cultural example of why many businesses fail here, and why people fail to be able to make money or do anything, and they have actually their companies turn on them because they come to Thailand with this kind of hubris, and then they're a bit confused why the local people here turn on them.
It was invented by this guy, and besides creating the Thai alphabet, he is also credited with firmly establishing Theravada Buddhism as the dominant religion in Thailand.
Theravada. Again, 101. TH is not th, it's t, as opposed to single T, which would be te. This is te, Theravada Buddhism.
Buddhism originally came from India, so most of the Thai words that describe things having to do with religion, or Buddhism at least, originally come from Sanskrit and Pali, two languages from India that a lot of Buddhist texts are written in. Thing is, Sanskrit and Pali both have a lot of sounds that don't exist in Thai, so there are a bunch of sounds that are pronounced differently in those languages that are pronounced the same in Thai. Despite this, the king of Thailand, whose name I can't pronounce, wanted to preserve the original spelling of these words. For instance, Sanskrit and Pali both have two sets of alveolar consonants, consonants that are pronounced against the front of the mouth. Normal ones, like we do, as well as these weird ones called retroflex consonants. And I'm not going to try to explain how these are pronounced differently, partially because I don't really understand it myself, but...
Okay, this is my time to jump in now. I can't handle it anymore. So he's just gone and said that Pokun Lam Kham Heng came up with this script that he wanted to have a one-to-one relation with the letters from Pali and Sanskrit, which, yes, are used for Buddhist texts, and most of it actually came through Cambodia via Khmer. So, which the same system. So we have this one-to-one letter. Have a look at this. This is the back of the throat. This is my Indic consonant compass. You can Google it or go to jacademy.com. You'll see it there. So that's good. Okay, so you can see here. And actually, let me just put the letters up here. So I'm just going to. Don't worry about the. I'll just put the IPA. Pretty nifty, huh? So we have originally. Ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. Back of the throat. These are called vargas, or entire wax. Okay, so we've got 5 different positions of the mouth. This is back of the throat. This is the palate. So we've got cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Notice this one is stopped throat. So we got it there. Stopped throat. Aspirated. So ka, ka. Got breath. This one is voiced. So g. This one is voiced with a breath over it, so it's g, and this one is through the nose, nga, but all through the back part of my throat. Next one, so the palate, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Next one, he'll say in a minute, he doesn't know how to do cerebrals. Have you ever heard that Indian people talking like this with the tongue rolling back? So this is cerebral. It's when the tongue's rolled back on the top of your mouth. So this is ta, ta, da, da, na. Now, Thais didn't have these sounds, so these just turned into normal T sounds, which are dental sounds. So ta, ta, da, da, na, and then ba, pa, ba, ba, ma. So you can see these beautiful back of the throat, palate, roof of the mouth, teeth, lips. It's 5 points of the mouth, 5 different throat actions. And the semivowels, so ja, cha, 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 ja, nya, 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 it's coming from there. So you've got a semivowel, y, which would be y in English. Then r, roof of the mouth, so semivowel is r, r. Dental semivowel is l, because the tongue is there at the teeth, and then semivowel v, 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 v. So w, v, it's why many languages confuse them, but they all fit into this beautiful structure. And you even had these SE sounds in the same place. So palatal S, sh, cerebral S, sh, a normal S at the teeth, s. So this is Thai, this is the system. Now what happened in Thai, and I'll just switch it back, so let me do it again. You may have missed that. Have a look at how the letters change. Basically, Thai just lost the voicing. So these 2 columns here, Thai lost the voicing, rendering all of these letters to sound the same, but they keep the same spelling as in Sanskrit and Pali. So if you actually have the letters, look at the letters here, I'll just show you. So each one of these letters is a one-to-one correspondence of this. Now, this is where it gets really cool with tones. If you have a look here now, let me just bring back so you can just see the letters. So IPA. If you have a g, I'll take the Thai letter out. If you have a g, the throat's closed. So this is tones in Thai, Vietnamese, Chinese. In Thai, there is no word for tone, meaning like when we think of tone in English, we think of pitch. It has nothing to do with pitch in Thai. The word wanayuk just means color marker. And it's actually a throat marker. So if you think of it as a degree of the throat, we only have three main tones. In all of these languages, we have normal voice, or three main throat positions. We have normal voice, you can see the voice slowly comes on and off. We have stiff voice, almost like I'm chopping it off at both ends with my throat, and then we have creaky voice, where I just start normally and then I ratchet it down at the end. So these three actions, normal, stiff voice, creaky voice. And so whether it's Burmese, even in Chinese, Thai, Vietnamese, they had all of these actions. And so they were the tones, what we call tones. Because if you notice, now if I say the word ka, normal voice, now I say it with a stiff voice. Ka, 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 the quality of the consonant before it actually changes the pitch. And now if I put breath over it, ka, you could see ka, ka, wow, it's knocked my throat down, which by default puts the pitch down. And so what a tone is the difference between what happens with your throat in the beginning and the end of a syllable. So if I have my throat breathy and open in the beginning and then it closes, sometimes you hear the people talk like this with the throat caught at the end. So I say ka, ka. It sounds like it's rising up, rising tone. Now Westerners, they tapped into this, and so they were focusing so much on the pitch because it's something that was different to what they had in their languages. But if you want to make Thai easy, don't think of tones as just as pitches. They're actually throat positions. Get the throat position right, and you'll get it, and you'll get the tone right. Now, one last thing. So if I say that this ka versus ga, g, g, when I activate the voice, my voice drops into a different register. Ka, ga, you see that? So this actually happened. Originally, there were voiced consonants as well in Thai, and so you had these two registers. You had a normal one, and a lower one, which made you had the three tones, and they split. And then we had another one's what's called dead thing. So basically, when you kill it at the end. So if you say ka, that killing it, like I did with a ka, that has another effect on the pitch, because killing it is actually pulling your voice in, which might raise the pitch or lower the pitch depending where it is. But basically this is it. So when we're talking about tones and everything, it's basically it's all logical. They're all throat positions. And when we're talking about classes in Thai, then high, middle and low class, so we break basically, these are the characteristics of consonants. So you see these middle class are basically all the ones with a stop throat, ka, da, 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 these ones here as this first column, and they are in a specific register. All the ones that were traditionally aspirated, so ka, they were these second column, and so they were traditionally low and came up, but they change over time. And then you have all of the normal voice ones. So originally voiced g, 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 ng, they turned into ka, 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 but that put them into a different register. So basically Thai eventually broke into three different registers, which we call high, middle and low class. But actually think of them high, middle and low registers. Three tones, three registers, that breaks out to 9, but some of them slipped over. But actually this isn't different to what's happened in Chinese dialects like Cantonese, Hokkien or Vietnamese. All of them are similar principles. The really cool thing is in Thai, once you write it down in the letters, wherever you are geographically or in Thai or in time, the spelling is pretty consistent. And so as long as you learn what the tones do or what the throat does for those letters in that geographic place, you can actually speak perfect dialect of the language as well, just looking at the spelling. It's amazing.